Hello everybody, Chandler here, and I'm again joined with the wonderful
Ash Hardell.
the amazing
Ash Hardell.
the magnificent
Ash Hardell.
And this was a video that I actually got the idea for, or wanted to talk about, because of one of your recent videos about being hacked by our mind. But in the video you talk about how like sometimes it feels like YouTube is directly correlated to how you feel about yourself and like your self-worth. And I know that I also feel that way a lot about like when I feel bad about YouTube, I'm also feeling pretty bad about myself.
It's like they cause each other.
The reason I wanted to make this video was just to kind of talk about how it feels to unhealthily connect this and how I feel about myself.
To care about YouTube maybe a little too much.
A little too much. But like, there's nothing wrong with caring about something you like, but in a way that's unhealthy.
But should never determine whether or not you are like a good, successful, or worthy person. You are a good, successful, and worthy person regardless and independent of how your YouTube is doing and how you feel about YouTube.
And I know that a lot of people that watch my videos, the questions that I get a lot is like, how do I make videos? How do I become a YouTuber? What do I do to be a YouTuber? What's your advice? I'm an up-and-coming YouTuber. And out of all the videos that I see that are about like becoming a YouTuber or whatever you want to say about making YouTube videos, none of them ever talk about, well, this.
But I know for a fact a lot of YouTubers feel this way.
Yeah.
It is a common conversation at like conventions and when you're just like hanging out with your friends who are also creators. See, it's hard to talk about because like it's hard to be vulnerable and like
it's hard to feel like I can say, yeah, I don't always feel great about YouTube.
Well, a thing that affects me is like, so restriction mode is a problem, but on top of that, like demonetizing videos is a huge problem. And demonetizing things simply because they're LGBT, to me, feels like work discrimination.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like straight up censorship. We're not like not being on the platform, we're not being thrown in jail, but it's like, but we're not gonna pay you. And that feels like workplace discrimination, and that makes me feel like I'm a person who's worthy of like being discriminated because like my job isn't real because talking about LGBT things isn't important.
And like I actually didn't know about that until you brought that up while you were here. When we were in the car and you were like, yeah, they're demonetizing LGBTQ videos, but not actually letting you know that they're demonetized. Like it still says it's monetized, you're just no longer...
If you, like the monetized symbol is still lit up and everything indicates that it's monetized, but if you actually like click on the analytics of the video, you're no longer making money from it.
There's nothing there.
So it's like a lie. Alayna Fender made a fantastic video kind of like exposing this or whatever. But she breaks it down really nicely.
I think we both talked about this, how we'll film like a ton of videos, or we'll film a same video like multiple times. Like I will film something and then I'll think, wow, I can't believe I said that, I'm an idiot, and I'll start it over. Or I'll even get to the point where I'm editing a video and I'm like, no, I don't like this, and then I'll stop it.
And sometimes I wonder if everybody like understands that or sees that as a possibility, that like maybe we've posted, I don't know, let's say like 4 videos that month, but maybe we've actually made like 10. I feel guilty about falling into the trap like, I'm not doing well on YouTube, or I'm not happy with what I'm making on YouTube, and therefore I feel worse about myself because I know that's not a healthy way to think. So then I shame myself for thinking that way, and it's like, how dare you think that way? Like you would if somebody else said they felt that way, you'd be like, that's not very healthy. You should like practice self-care and love yourself more.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just so much easier said than done. And like I believe it in my heart. I believe that all these things don't matter, and I'm still worthy, and I believe that the things I make are good. I believe that on some level, but then another part of my brain always chimes in and goes, but not really.
I don't think people realize how like hard it is to really put yourself on the internet, because like for no matter which way you're doing it, like for people, for example, like if they do skits or like different animations or something, that's something that they like and they put a lot of investing in and time and patience, and they put this thing out there, and like what we do is we're literally putting us as a person out onto the internet, and so like it's always a part that's somewhat vulnerable. And so like for someone who's like, oh, I love animation, I'm gonna put this animation, like there's always like feelings of there's always a chance of feeling like, oh, my animation's not good enough. And then you have us where we're literally putting us as a person and like selling a person.
Right. And it's if your video flops, in a sense you flop.
Yeah, it feels like you as a person weren't that great.
Yeah, and like it's easy to say like, well, obviously you shouldn't take numbers personally,
Yeah.
but like how can
hard.
you be strong enough and like not take it a little personally?
I try not to let numbers get to me. I think that numbers are very, very weird to think about, and I always remind myself when it comes to numbers, like that number represents a person. That's not a number, that's a person. It's a genuine person. But like when I personalize it like that, because I don't want to feel like, oh yeah, these are just numbers, you know. But when I personalize it
like
like
a
that,
double-edged sword.
It is, because then when I personalize it like that, losing that like makes me feel like I just lost a person. Like a person just said, hey, I don't like you.
So you're like,
goodbye. And it's not just a number going down.
yeah.
It's kind of hard to not take something personally when you personalize it like that. Like these are people that are saying, no.
And it's like you do it out of respect. You're like, I don't want to just view you as like statistics. I want to view you as a human. And so you make that choice. And then sometimes you also lose the human.
Yeah.
And the thing that's hard for me is like sometimes YouTubers can't help but make YouTube either their only thing or the biggest thing, or like one of the most defining things about them, or the thing that makes them them. So like for example, I do some other stuff. Like I have a day job and like obviously like a human being. I like hang out with my friends and like there are other things in my life but YouTube. But like I've definitely had moments in my life where like I wasn't working and all I did was YouTube, and it was my favorite hobby. And it's scary when that's like the biggest thing in your life, and
then it doesn't feel like it's good enough.
And then it doesn't feel like it's good enough. So it's like, wow, the one thing that's so important to me, and also that kind of makes me me. You know, I'm Ash, the person who like is online and whatever. Yeah. And when that's not even going well, it's like, oh man, like my thing, like that's my thing, and I can't even do that.
Yeah,
and I feel kind of like lost.
I definitely do that to myself, where I kind of like sometimes I don't feel like I can make videos. I don't feel up to it because I feel like this is my thing. This is like the only thing that I have going for me, and I can't even do that.
Yeah.
And I get that way about myself when I don't upload something. Like it'll be that way if I feel like I've uploaded something bad and I'm like, wow, the quality of this is crap. I can't even do this right. But then I'll also do that if I don't even feel up to filming a video at all. Now I'll think about it like, wow, this is like the one thing that I really like to do, and the one thing that I'm really doing and investing a lot of time in, and not like as a passion, and wow, I can't even do that. I know that I'm not the best with wording things, and I know that comparing isn't something you need to do.
Comparison is the thief of joy, but it is
so
like
prevalent
and natural. It's so natural.
Especially when like, this is like one of those places where like all of the
it's all about ranking and analytics and growth and staying relevant.
And all of the comparison is right next to you. So.
And another thing someone told me once, I'm sorry, but they said like as a creator, you're wired to compare and compete. Not necessarily compete, but compare and grow and compete. And it's because every time we log in, that's all our dashboard is.
Yeah.
Our dashboard is like either like a happy green arrow that you've gone up, or like a sad red arrow that you've gone down. And then our dashboard is watch all these lessons on how to grow, and watch all these lessons on how to be clickable. And then our dashboard is like, like we have an entire page
just dedicated to
like reminding you, like, did you do better this month? Are you figuring it out how you can do better? And it's just like, and
it's like this constant. There's so much improvement that needs to be made.
Always.
Rather than a hey,
you're doing well.
Yes, there needs to be improvement. There's other things that you should do. There's other things to make your video more watchable, more clickable, more rewatchable.
Like, once you've reached a level or whatever, staying at that level and just engaging with that audience and doing what you love is almost seen as bad as like having your channel die. It's like unless you're growing, you're doing
nothing.
Yeah.
If, for example, you're applying to like a retail job and there's someone else who applies, maybe you'll never even meet each other ever because you both separately as individuals send in your applications and then separately as individuals have your interview, and then separately without ever knowing each other.
So you can't really compare. You can't compare because you can't be like, oh, I can see why they got the job and I didn't because you don't know who they are. Or you can see all your competitors.
But on YouTube, you see everyone. You see all their videos. You see all their numbers. You see all of this, and this.
They're prettier than me. They're funnier than me. They can edit better than me. And then
they have better this than me. They do this better than I do. This is
never thought about it.
And the thing is like it's not even something you can avoid, because even like as YouTubers, one of the things we do is
subscribe
watch
and
YouTube
share,
videos. Like I want to still be myself, but then at the same time that's not working. So how do I be someone else? And then I'm like, well, I shouldn't be someone else. I need to be me. But then I feel bad about who I am.
Chandler, be yourself, but in a way that
mimics everybody else.
That mimics everybody else, and other people find like mass consumable. So
yeah.
like just, I mean, be organic and authentic, but like in this certain way that everyone wants you to.
Yeah.
Just, it's so easy. Can't you do?
Yeah, be yourself, but don't. And it's kind of like, it does weirdly feel like I'm trying to sell myself to the internet.
Yeah.
Like, this is a person I'm trying to entertain you. These are things that I'm trying to do and say. And
but I can vouch, just because. So I've hung out with Chandler for like 3 days now, and whenever they describe their channel, I really love it, and they've done it more than once. They're like, all I want people to feel like with my channel is that they're hanging out with their friend, and they're talking to their friend. And I was like, ooh. So like, that's Chandler's goal. So you're welcome. They're amazing. They're super cute. But it's hard when like, that's your goal. Just to like be a good friend and be there for people and make a safe space. Mm-hmm. But like, that's not necessarily super duper exciting and thrilling and clickbaity
and consumable.
Right. The things we've talked about have been like real and vulnerable and important. But also like, honestly, sort of bummers.
Yeah.
Which is, but it's not meant to be like obviously a super happy video, because it's like, YouTube's hard and self-worth sometimes is attached to it.
Yeah, and I don't want it to come off as like, pity party, YouTube's hard.
Right.
Because that's one of the reasons why I never talk about any of these things.
Because you're worried that you'll be like shamed for like pitying yourself and pouting.
Yeah.
But so like, in an effort to like create a spotlight, kind of, and like make a constructive positive spin, like, so like, have you found anything that works? Like when you are like, in that slump, when something's sad, or when something on YouTube isn't working and you start to feel really down on yourself, is there anything you found that you can do to like bring yourself up, or kind of like remind yourself that it's okay and your self-worth isn't tied to YouTube? I go to my IRL friends sometimes and I talk really honestly and candidly and open about YouTube, and they don't understand it at all and they laugh about it sometimes. And then it kind of like reminds me that like, oh my gosh, like,
it is like a smaller thing than you build it up to be in your head.
More like, I've made this thing so important, and like, they don't even understand what YouTube is. Oh my gosh, the world beyond YouTube is so large.
Yeah, I tried to get out of my head a little bit too, because like, I also know Xander doesn't understand anything about YouTube. And so like, I just rant to Xander like relentlessly about these things, and he doesn't understand any of it. But he's like, yeah, okay, get it out. And I don't know, I feel more like empowered when I'm like, yeah, these are the things that are corrupt, and these are the way that I feel. And
yes.
All of this stuff, man.
The venting feels good.
Yeah. But then at the same time, like, another thing that also feels good is like, we were driving in the car and we were actually being able to talk about like all of these things, and like from someone who understands it to another person who understands it. Because like, while it is nice to say to these people all about YouTube and they don't understand what YouTube is, and you can kind of get yourself out of your head a bit about it, it is also nice to be like, this stuff sucks, and then someone else goes, yeah, I've been there, I know it sucks.
Yeah, it's like a balance of both things. Someone reminds you, like, your IRL friend reminds you, like, hey, it's just YouTube, and you're like, oh, mate, you're right. But then your YouTube friend reminds you, like, but I'm affected by this too, and you're like, thanks for the validation.
Yeah!
Yeah.
A lot of the part of why I feel bad about myself is because I feel like I'm disappointing you all. So nobody's thinking negatively about you because they're all already thinking someone's thinking negatively about them.
Boom. If you're a creator out there, big or small or whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, do you feel these things? And like, what do you do to make yourself feel better? Or like, how do you process all these feelings?
If you like this video, go ahead and click the link in the description to the video we did over on their channel and go subscribe to them. Bye!